Good evening, and we're bringing you part two, how establishing personal credit can help you develop your business credit. And I want to take it from that perspective, ladies and gentlemen, because some people think they can just run out and get business credit without even identifying with their personal credit. And I want to set a few things straight here because a number of people they ask me, how do you get business credit? And I set them on the path for getting their personal credit straightened out. Now, sometimes we can have our credit all jacked up and we want somebody to fix it. And because I worked in the paralegal area and knew enough about how to write creditors' letters, to petition against things on your credit report, and I have shown people how to write letters and orchestrate the outline of what they should write. I want to talk to you a little bit again about uh, secured credit and unsecured credit. And I also want to talk to you about those benefits that seniors could take advantage of, or those homeowners. And one of the things that I wanted to tell you about the home ownership, the homestead credits, and the word had escaped me, and I wanted you to know that there are homestead credits that are out there that one could go and apply for homestead credits so that they can get these discounts on their taxes. And I wanted to make sure I reminded myself to tell you that. But I'd like to go into talking about um, looking at what is secured credit opposed to unsecured credit. Now, I noticed that they have been sending a lot of mail out about applying, getting pre-qualified for various different institutions. And some of them, even online, when they ask you if you would like to apply for credit, online, they literally tell you that if you never had credit before, that you ought to apply for a secured loan. And that means they want you to put money up front. They want you to put down maybe $300 of that authorized credit. Maybe they authorize you for $500, but $300 of it has got to be secure credit that they want to hold on to. Now, they usually give you a time period when they want to hold on to this credit, to this money. And after a certain period, they tell you you can withdraw the money. But they've held up your money for some time now. And you're thinking you're getting $500 worth of credit, but you only got that 200, 300 must go in the secure account. Be very careful with those credit cards because that is for somebody that wants something temporary to fix, to who is right now getting back on the path of fixing their credit, who can't get any credit. They will do for a period of time, but once you have literally exhausted that length of time for your money being held, you might want to hurry up and pay. You might not want to even use that 200. You might want to use only 10% of that because you are going to be penalized for using the full balance of that allotment that they loaned you. You want to be very careful that you keep an outstanding. You pay a small amount. You withdraw a small amount, but you don't want to go over 30% of what they have actually authorized you, or else it could damage your credit. And they don't tell you that it could damage your credit because you're getting a secure credit card where you have to put the money up front. And nobody wants to put the money up front. You're asking them for money, but they want you to come up with $300 and put it up front. So you've actually paid them to give you that credit card. So be very, very careful about those secured credit cards. Now they even have prepaid cards that they report to the creditors to help you out. Now that's a different thing. If you got a prepaid card, then you must put the money on the card first and then you use it. So maybe they're reporting your activity to the three credit bureaus that you are making purchases. Those are positive uh, documentation because now they're showing that you're capable of using that money to not become overdraft, but using that money and they're reporting it as you having a credit card. Now, I don't know how that works and I've never had that, but we can wait and see if there's any reviews on that. But when we talk about we want to go get some business credit, a lot of us decide to become entrepreneurs. Oh boy, we are all off into it. And let me just show you around my little uh, tiny, my tiny Divine Soap and Candles facility. Hold on for 1 minute here. I went and established my soap business and my candles business. Can you see that? Those are the things that I had to invest in and buy in order to get my soap business off the ground. Now, I want to say this to those people who are really into being soap makers and who are into being candle makers. It's nothing wrong with wanting to do that, but you have got to have a location. Location is everything. So why not start that location based online, based on an internet, having a website page so you can display all of your products. And I began to put my brakes on and said, let me go and complete my website because that will be your address. So I went ahead and completed my website, which is my address. And I put more time into it. And I also had some active things with a shopping cart. You got to make sure your shopping cart is working. And you got to make sure that all of the services you're offering, they're a line item that's been printed up. So when they push the button, they actually can go to an area on your web page that said, I want to sign up, or I want to make a purchase here, or I need this service. That's that's the way you make your website a workable website that is functional, that's going to earn you money, and that you can create a shopping cart where people can make a purchase. Okay. So having a soap business is one thing, but you've got to have an active website that works. Okay. You might have something that's still under construction. You might want to upload and publish your website before all of the pages are published because it could be under construction. I understand that. But the first thing you must understand about getting business credit, it is out there. It truly is. And I had a chance to seek it out. But I put my brakes on and said, no, I want to make sure I have a good chance at getting some business credit because I have good personal credit. The first thing they're going to look at is your personal credit. And one of the things that I went through was with the Small Business Association. They helped a few of us along. I was very happy that I connected with them because I learned an awful lot. I learned about my Dun and Bradstreet number, which is my personal number that they take from my EIN number, and the federal government gives you that number. And that reports how you pay on your business transaction, your ability to pay, and it records your transaction just like your personal business, just like your personal credit. It reports all of that to Dun and Bradstreet. Then you have a NIAC number, and your NIAC number is your industry number. What type of business are you in? Are you an educator? Are you a service person? What type of business? Are you in marketing, media? You have to identify the industry you're in, and they help you to obtain your NIAC number. And then you can also get certified to do business in accounting, in the state, or even with the government. That's right. There is a number that they give you. You must obtain a certificate to do business with the government. And that means you're servicing the government and you're taking your business to the government and asking him to give you a contract or her. But that's a great opportunity because you have a ready-made clientele that can be referred to you to access your business. Now, if you are authorized for the county, that's great too. Then you can go to the county with your business and market your business with the county or with the state. Now, for those people who are disabled and you're classified as a protective class and you're disabled, they want you in the Small Business Association to relate that information that you're disabled. There's some perks for the disabled too. The disabled gets extra points. Now, let me tell you about the points. If you are a small business minority, if you are a female, that's a point you get. Number one, if you're a minority, that's a point you get. And if you're a female, that's 2 points. And then if you're disabled, that's another point. Okay? And then if you're doing business with the government, that's another point. It gives you a chance to be pushed high up on the ladder to be selected to engage in a contract. Now, when you're with the Small Business Association, you will go to workshops, symposiums. Some of these will be for pay, like maybe $15 to $25. Others of them can be free. They'll be in a community, and sometimes at law offices, they invite you in to do these consultation and presentation. They teach you about other non-for-profit organizations such as SCORE. SCORE is an organization of men and women who have owned their business and they're retirees, and they propose to be a mentor to you. And they mentorship you through the business arena and how to get set up for free of charge. That is another option that they offer doing this particular training. Now, if you're disabled, they also set up something where you can make a certain amount of money without, if you're not 66, you want to make sure you don't go over a certain $15,000 so you are not penalized, because for every $2 you make, one of those dollars may have to go to Social Security. But if you're beyond 66 and you're no longer obligated to pay Social Security $1 back every time you make $2, then now you've reached the full retirement age, and there's no stipulation on the maximum amount of money that you can make. Now that's a good time for you to go into business. You're beyond 66. You're no longer in the disability category. You're now under the retirement category, which you can make as much as you want. That's a good time to go into business for yourself and to be able to have an entrepreneur business. A lot of us go sole proprietor, but where the real benefits are is when you can also go LLC as your entity, and you can go S, you can go C, you can go C charge, or you can go S charge. Now, in those two, they have to be recommended by your attorney or your local advisor which way you want to go, because there's certain taxes that you can write off and certain particular entities that the government recognizes. It doesn't recognize a sole proprietor. It's not a real full business. And when you're an LLC, you don't have as many benefits and perks as you do with the S chapter or C chapter. Those are the two that the government recognizes as a business, and you begin to acquire various different write-offs. Okay, and you have stocks and bonds that you can sell in your business, and you can trade your stocks and bonds in exchange for someone making an investment in your company. Now, eventually down the road, you might want to become an S corp or a C corp. That way, you become a legitimate business that the government recognizes. Now, I won't go into that because you need to be advised by an attorney, and I'm not an attorney, nor I'm a member of the bar. Okay. A lot of this work I used to be involved in as a paralegal, setting up entities, helping people to figure out, their entity and how they're going to utilize and benefit it. But one of the things I want to say is your personal credit is what you definitely want to work on first. And starting a business at all, you immediately you contact IRS and let them know you're interested in starting a business. You give them the name of your business to see if they can clear your name and that you can use that name and no one else is using it. Sometimes you can go up to the courthouse to do that, or you can go online and you can call IRS and they will give you this EIN number, and that is your business individual number to recognize your company. Now, once you've been given that name and it's okay to use it, you can go to the bank then and you can acquire a bank account for your company, whether it be sole proprietor, LLC, a limited license. You go to the bank and you set up your business. Now, there is a $90 fee, if I'm not mistaken, for an LLC to establish that. So a lot of people go with the sole proprietor, but you might want to think about paying that $90 because the LLC is going to allow you to have your articles of incorporation. And you want those articles of incorporation, and you want an administrator to administrate the articles of incorporation, because you have to make sure your business license are filed. You need somebody that's an administrator to file your business license yearly and to make sure that you're meeting the obligations of the government so that you don't get in a violation. So most people say, I'll do sole proprietor temporarily, but I'm going to go back and I'm going to file LLC and pay the $90. That's feasible. Once you have a bank account and you've used the name that has been approved, you can then put that name on your bank account. Now, you must also understand there's partnerships too, but your lawyer can advise you on this. Now, I know you're saying that I've seen people go out of business, start over again, get a new name, start over again, file bankruptcy. Let's get into bankruptcy. Uh, and being a paralegal, I had a chance to be involved in training in the paralegal area of bankruptcies and why you would want to choose a bankruptcy. Some companies, personal individuals file bankruptcies, and there is corporations that file bankruptcies too. And a lot of times people say, oh, companies can get out of paying their debt by filing bankruptcy and changing their name. One of the things you have to understand is that it was created for that purpose. However, the small man who couldn't afford $3,000 to $4,000 just could not afford a bankruptcy. They didn't have the money to pay for it. So, because I was in the line of business of working in law, I had the opportunity of gathering materials to train other professional lawyers who were willing to give pro bono work to those people who could not afford to pay for their bankruptcy. In exchange, the training would come from our organization and we would give the training to the attorney, but they could not charge any individual, be it corporation or individual, money for filing for their bankruptcy because it's supposed to be a pro bono service. Now, there's two types. There's a Chapter 13 and a Chapter 7. A Chapter 13 is where you want to reestablish your debt, reaffirm your debt. You want to set up payment plans to pay it back. And if you should happen to have a house that you want to put into bankruptcy, the house can be put into bankruptcy, and that means that the debt is no more, at least on that bankruptcy, but they can come back to the mortgage company. A lot of people leave their house outside of the bankruptcy and they reaffirm the payment of that house so that they can start making payments on that house. Now, you take a chance and putting that house in bankruptcy because the actual mortgage company can come back on you and say, even though you filed the bankruptcy, we still want to collect for that house, and you could still end up having a foreclosure and having to leave your house. A lot of people think that because they perform a foreclosure, that excuse me, because they perform a bankruptcy, that permits permits them to stay in the house and that they do not have to vacate the premises. But that's not so. They're only buying themselves a little time when they do a full-blown Chapter 7. They are delaying that foreclosure, but it will eventually come. And for those people who utilize this bankruptcy procedure in a more adequate way, they would want to reaffirm the house, set up payment plans so that they can make payments on the house, and they have 5 years to reaffirm their debts. Now, during that 5 years, you are not missing any payments. You're making payments on those arranged debts as well as on that house. But time you miss a payment on that house, they can come and recoup that house. Okay, here's the time to take those 5 years and stay true and committed to making those payments. You can make an arrangement that after the 5 years, whatever outstanding debt still is not paid, it gets dismissed from the record. You can make that arrangement, and therefore then you can keep your house, and it'll be scot free because you set up a contract that after 5 years you no longer owe anything on the property or your debts. Now, the reason why I know about bankruptcies, I did bankruptcies for attorneys and I worked with them. I understood the process of bankruptcy, and everyone cannot do a bankruptcy. There is a test that you have to perform in order to qualify to do a bankruptcy. And most of the attorneys or the paralegals, they actually put you through a test to see if you qualify to be able to do a bankruptcy. Now, and this test, and then there are classes that the contestant who wants to file bankruptcy must attend, pre-classes and post-classes. These classes are telling you about debt arrangement, it's telling you about debt repair. So you go through a complete debt repair class prior to even filing the bankruptcy. And then after you completed that class, you're given a certificate. And that certificate must be submitted to the bankruptcy department so they can see you completed both classes, post and free. And you have to be deemed eligible to be a candidate to file a bankruptcy. Everybody cannot pass that test. And those who cannot pass that test by law cannot file the bankruptcy. So don't think that everybody's sneaking out of that who owns a business. And I know that a lot of Black folks don't get this information because they're not privy to it. I was privy to it because I worked in the law office and I worked remotely for many lawyers and I did the bankruptcies. So there was a lot of people who viewed the bankruptcy as a relief to help them. Some companies as well. However, when you're trying to dodge a foreclosure, you have to be very careful that you reaffirm that house and that you set up payment plan so that that house note can get paid. Because if you don't, you can wind up losing that house all in lieu of doing a bankruptcy thinking you were saving it. So it's very important for the lawyers out there to know that as a trainer, I have been trained in how to do bankruptcies, and I've been given an option of training other new attorneys as long as they will commit to doing pro bono work and not charge anyone for their bankruptcies procedures if they're going to process the bankruptcy paperwork for an individual. And they could receive this training free of charge. Now, a lot of perks do come to paralegals who work as an assistant and who work with attorneys. Some attorneys, when doing SSI or SSI cases, you are an advocate, just as the attorney is an advocate. When someone contracts you to do their disability cases, their money goes in escrow. You cannot spend it. And at the same time, an advocate can go in and try a case for a candidate who's a disabled individual. They could go in just like an attorney and cross-examine and go in as an advocate. They cannot say attorney or member of a bar, but they can say as an advocate and go in and cross-examine those clients to fight for that person's disability. So I had a chance to work in that area as I guess you can say as an advocate, but I had to have a lot of medical records behind me because we have to pull medical record and we have to also prove that this person had a medical disability. So we had to be able to extract records and be able to make sure that we follow guidelines for this disability. How long is this disability going to last? Is it going to last over a year? And what type of category does this medical disability fall in? So all of these things, I got involved in a lot of medical records procedures, and that's one of the things that helped me in the area of law, working with medical disability. So the other things I want to share with my people is that writing is very important, being able to construct a decent letter and to work with as few words as possible to say what it is you're trying to say. Even with your credit, when you want to draft up a first and second and third letter, certain things have to be put, constructualized language has to be put in the letter to convey what it is you're saying or asking for. So we were trained in that area. So I want to say that getting involved in an organization such as the Small Business Association is a good idea for paralegals because they can learn how to structure their own business and they can learn all of the various different entities that they can select from for their business. You definitely have to understand when you get incorporated, you want to have your articles of incorporation, your business plan written out, and your articles of incorporation. You definitely want to talk about the type of board you're going to entertain, and if you're selling any stock, you want to make sure that you are structuring yourself in the right way to benefit you the most. You don't want to overstructure yourself and end up paying a lot of taxes and don't have any employees. You want to make sure you understand what you're doing about that. Now, I've been away from this work for some time now because I did it as a moonlighting job when I was not teaching school in the evenings and remotely for these attorneys. But I was an educational, I guess you would call it, advocate, where I listened to cases and tried cases for families who had children with special needs. There is a complete legal process for special education law, and there's a complete set of books that are different that they must learn all the laws, the articles, incorporation, the 504, the 142, and the 457. All these laws are categorized with the educational law. So I became more fond of the educational law and became known throughout Illinois for trying cases on educational law. I took a lot of cases, and even the ones who couldn't pay, I took their cases and I fought for them and I adjudicated for them in due process hearing. So what I'm saying here, let me get back on point here. You are looking to establish your business credit. You cannot establish your business credit until you actually establish your personal credit, because most companies look at your personal credit and see how firm you are or see how well established you are with your personal credit, and how seasoned you are. And if they see that you're seasoned with your personal credit, then you have a good chance of getting that business credit. Now, you don't want to go in to just anyone. A lot of times, a good company will talk to you about your credit and say, well, you don't have any trademarks. You don't have any long-standing credit. We got to help you to get some trademarks. You got to buy some trademarks to help you in this company to have been to be established, because they're looking for established business. Now, most of the companies that are out there, they can establish your articles of incorporation and incorporate you for around $500. That's the amount that they charge to incorporate you. And you're going to have the articles of incorporation written, and you are going to have to look at whether or not you're going to sell stocks and bonds, because this is something that can help you get investors to invest in you to help you get on your feet. Now, having a corporation, you have to look at it from different standpoints. You have to also connect with your bank, so that your bank, if you're going to have a payroll, your bank is going to do your payroll for you, and your data processing, they will keep tracks of your payroll, they will do your payroll and do your data processing. So when you go in to sign up for a bank account, you want to let them know, I have staff and I'm going to need payroll done. And I would like to also, I have clients that will be paying per month. So I want to be able to get an advance, when they give you an advance on all the clients that you can substantiate. They give you that advance money so that you can have a startup money. And because they know you got guaranteed clients that are coming in, they will give you an advance on that money up front. So working with the bank is very important. Finding a good bank to work with. You might want to open up a bank account with these new banks that say, well, if you keep your money in my account over 2 months, then we'll give you $300. That's $300 that can go right into your business bank account. And you have to remember, you're not commingling your business account with your personal account. They must be two separate accounts. And you must understand that that EIN number, you want to keep that letter that you get back from the government on the EIN number. And don't forget to go down to your county and to register your company's name and pay a fee, because there is a fee for this. And a lot of people go into business, they don't have anything structured in their business, and they don't know how they're going to pay themselves. Always remember, make sure that you're on the payroll to be paid and a check is cut for you. Don't just take money off the top. You have to account for all that money that's coming in. And you cannot just put it in your bank account and start your personal bank account, start using it. You have to have a check cut for you. Or you might only want to take $1 uh, a week, $1 per month. You might not want to take a salary. It all depends on how you're structuring yourself. But most people always want to pay themselves first. And when they pay themselves first, they keep record of all the money that they've collected. Because now that you're in business, you have to account for every dime. And if you need someone like a business company to front you some money, you've got to have a good business plan. And they want you to have been in business for a good 5 years. You got to show the profit and loss statement. How much have you been making? How much have you lost? And I personally thinking going out and getting business credit may be a mistake. You might want to get a line of credit from you might want to get a credit card line of credit. And with that credit card line of credit, that might be enough for you to do your ordering and to establish yourself. Because soon as you get the monies in for those products, you can pay off that credit account or pay it down. That way you can set yourself up to get more extensions of credit and more different accounts that will help you. But you remember, you have got to make these payments for these minimum payments. You want to possibly pay them down quicker than what you normally would pay, because if you pay it all off, then you have no interest fees. But if you drag it out to pay it, you have all those interest fees and you defeated the purpose. It's very vital that you should understand that your business has got to have operating money up front. So you might want to have clients that have committed themselves to you Or if you got students enrolled, you got the number of students and you show that they're enrolled, then when you go to the bank, they will be happy to give you an advance on the premises that you are going to have regular clients. Um, you might want to take credit cards over the internet, okay? Or if you're out in the marketplace and your business requires you to go and rent a booth and you're out in the marketplace, you might want to have your own credit card set up that connects to your bank, okay? So you can swipe their card and they can pay with their credit card. Now, there's beginning to be so many different ways called, one is called Stripe, I think it is, in addition to PayPal. Now, Stripe is the big boys on the block where a lot of people are using Stripe instead of PayPal. And PayPal's been around for a long time. It's good, and you can get a business account with PayPal. They'll give you a line of credit to actually buy things with, which is great. And if you're just starting out, before you go and borrow money from a bank, you might want to go to PayPal and ask for a line of credit. And when PayPal gives you that line of credit, make sure you pay on time and pay it off. Because remember, you have a personal account. Most people have a personal account with PayPal as well, in addition to that line of credit for a business account. It's a perfect way of starting your small business. You need supplies. Even with the candle business, go out and look for your things and start finding them on sale. And with that candle business, buy as many of those things as you can at a discount dollar store to keep your rates down. And then go and buy those heavy pieces of equipment like your candle melter, which is probably going to be the highest expense that you have. And then your soap trays that are like $45 to purchase. Well, I'm gradually climbing the hill like a goat, slow and steady. So as I see those things on sale, I buy them. I know what it takes to run this business, and I buy those things as I see them on sale. But in the meantime, I was working very, very slow and steady on this website to make sure that it paints a picture of who my company is and how I sell myself to the general public. I think I've got it down to an art now. That website talks about all the things that I can produce and that I will be able to produce. It has an opening videotape that's really out of this world, where it does the opening with splitting up the camera, showing you the products that I have. Okay, and what I did was I took the actual products that I made, not something that was on the actual website that somebody else created, but these were things I created because it would be kind of phony for me to just start showing somebody else's product and say, here, these are things I can make, and I'd never made them before. So I put my things on there that I actually made, from my Chester drawer with my soap there, all the way to the music I played in the background. And then I actually filmed the videotape with the soap laying out so they can get an idea of the types of styles of soap that I made. Now, it's my first collection. So I call that my first collection, and people can get that again by me making that first collection again. And then I have other things that I want to add to it. Being a visual design major, I was a visual design major for about 2 years. I got into a lot of photography. I got into a lot of design, colors, and mixing the color scheme. So I'm pretty good about doing that, and I have an artistic background that can lend me that service. So I say that before you start any business, make sure you establish a website, somewhere where you can call your address and people can look you up on the web. And the higher you boost yourself up, the more you can be seen. And don't forget, out of your business, for example, with me being a published author with my poetry, I'm now getting ready to incorporate some things on educational books. And I want, out of that book, I want to create an actual course. And from that, with the workbook for teachers, as well as for parents, to help them in special education law, and while their children are in special ed, to become an actual resource and referral center that they can set up in their home. It's an actual guide to teach them how to set up their own parent information center in their home and service their communities, and as well as service their school, to be an asset to the school as an advocate, to advocate as an surrogate advocate for other children whose parents cannot be there at the M team meeting. So in this book, out of this book comes workshops, symposium, and it comes lectures. And all of it can be referenced back to the book, because the book is a textbook for the teacher, and then there's a handbook for the mom that she can use at home. So these are materials that I am making. You got to make some material. What is it that you have to sell? If you got a service, great. But if you want some materials to go with that, those of us who are publishers, we definitely have got to take our book and use our book as a focal point to create courses from, and to create lectures from, and tours, so that we're on the mark. And I think I'm on the mark because I started this book over probably 18 years ago, and I've added on. And the parents have shown me what they need, and having the ability to be an advocate. They've shown me that if they could be trained how to have their own advocacy facility in their community, in their home, then they would do it, because it doesn't cost a lot of overhead. A lot of these things are technical assistance that are given to them free to disperse to the community. So I said, no matter what I'm doing, whether it be soap or whatever, I am going to be advocating in my community, because as a teacher, I have an obligation to give something back. And that is my gift that I had working in educational law, helping to snatch souls out of the fire, helping to put mothers on the right track, to say the right thing when they're in front of a court of law about putting their expelled child back in school, to fight. They're fighting some serious battles. Some of these children are expelled for the whole school year. Some of these children are denied their rights and they cannot be mainstreamed back in the classroom. Some of these children are in the least not in the least restrictive environment. Some of them are traveling too far that the regulations said they don't have to. So these mothers have to fight. And these mothers have to go in like the professionals that I know they are. Mothers are the first teachers and the first advocates. So I'm training these parents to become advocates. And there is materials such as videotapes and CDs that will walk them through the steps that they must take in order to become a great advocate. And I and other people with technical assistance to help put together these training tapes, so that now they can see someone that looks like them, that is advocating on behalf of Black children. And they can deem that that is possible. They don't have to say, is this person going to discriminate against me? Do I have to fight a second time? They can say, well, they designed this for our Black children by Black instructors for Black children. And the other thing is, with these websites, you can do so much, because I just told you about the SOAP website, and I also have the publishing website with just the book on it. And then I have the National Alliance of African American Advocates, or the Black African American Parent Resource Center. And those are those institutes that I want to leave as a legacy that they can access. It belongs to the community. That website belongs to the community for them to access and utilize for fighting for their children. So when we begin to look at our business, it begins to sprout out and it creates streams of income. You never want to start with just one business. You got to think, what other things can I spin off from that? Because when one business is not doing so good, then you have other streams of income that will be doing well, and that business will continue to grow. And don't think that it's odd to have subsidiaries up under it. You might start off with your soap business, and then you may get into the point where you're creating healing products to go with that soap. And then you might even have a special gathering for women only, for women of children with special needs, so that they can have a relaxing period. But all these things are necessary as you diversify. And in your business, you must remember, you just don't run in and say, I'm going to apply for some business credit. That might be a mistake. You might not have gathered enough momentum for them to give you a low interest rate. If they give you a loan and give you a high interest rate, you're in more trouble, because now you got to pay back all that extra interest. It's better to get your personal credit right and get it straight. Like most people say, get it straight, straighten it out, work it out. And when you straighten it out, then you feel confident when you go in to ask someone to help you. And you might not even need to ask someone to help you. When you get your business, when you get your credit straightened out, now you can apply for one of those low interest loans for your business, and preferably Capital One or somebody, and they will hopefully look at good credit. She's got something to base this on. I can lend her a small amount of capital for her business in her line of credit. Then when you go from there and you've paid that credit back on time, you can ask for an advance on your credit, and they can increase your credit. Now you're working with something that's boiling, and you're moving forward. But we have got to understand, just asking for business credit, a lot of people think it's just that easy. I want some business credit. I want some business credit, but they're not ready for it because their personal credit is shot. You got to get your personal credit together first. Spend as much time as you need getting your personal credit together. You might even ask a family member to put you on their authorized credit card so that you will have access to their line of credit. You might have a grandfather who has a line of credit for $30,000 and he's only used 30% of it. You can say, Granddad, I'm starting a business. I'm not going to take the money from you. I'm just going to use your great credit so I can establish myself. And I know that I can only take 10% of your credit, but I only want to use your authorized credit limit so it can show that I'm establishing some lines of credit here. And then he'll say, that makes a lot of sense. You're brand new to this business. I could give you some help. And who knows, that uncle or granddad might help you. But ladies and gents, I want you to understand that we can get ourselves in trouble with getting company credit. And sometimes, if you don't have the money rolling in and you don't have the clients you thought you were going to get, you didn't do your survey or your marketing properly, you didn't know who you were serving, and you found out this was a bad climate or area to work that business in, now you have a problem. You can't pay the loan back. You don't ever want to get into that kind of problem. You try to keep your expenses down as low as you can. And basically try to run that business on a shoestring if you can. Now, with me being an educator, I learned a lot about workshops and running a workshop on a shoestring. How do you do a conference and a workshop on a shoestring? And hopefully that workshop is going to bring in money. It's going to bring in resources for you to have as a foundation to run that business. Initially, I was offering services, training and development for professional development. And initially, I was doing the workshops for the various different teachers and school districts. So now that I know a lot better, I realize that I can market myself to the principals. One of the programs we have to offer is a program for the principals where they invite me to come in along with my crew, and we set up something that works with the M team to go back and reassess the boys and girls that have been placed in special ed to see if they've been overassessed and improperly placed in special ed. We then look for language barriers to see if they have a language barrier, and if they do, we make a recommendation to the principal that the child be placed back in mainstream classroom and be pulled out for speech and language. And then we cut down on the numbers of children in special ed. But there are so many overassessed Black boys placed in special ed. And without a doubt, most teachers just assume that they have a learning disability, and when in fact they don't. And some of the ADD children cannot qualify for benefits from special ed. They're under other health impair. And sometimes the mothers go for years and can't get any benefit for those children. They can only get the 504 benefits from the 504 laws. Now, we can train those principals to help those teachers to look for the right thing and to help those teachers to make sure that they are going to assess the children, looking for language barriers, and appropriately put them in ELL so they can get the services. And I want to say one thing to you, that it has been an enjoyable ride. I did receive a small grant to start my training, and that was training teachers in the area of special education law. That gave me a leg up to start the process of filming and recording and to produce the actual DVDs. And now I'm ready to reproduce those DVDs and put them out on the market. And hopefully on my website, parents can go out there and read about the work that we did as a team trying to train parents to become family resource centers. And I hope that you got something out of this session. But let's not get the horse before the cart. We don't want any business credit until we get our personal credit cleared up and straight, one straight line. You know how you walk a straight line. We want our credit to look like that. And we want to make sure that we are on the right task of becoming entrepreneurs. Everyone wants to work for themselves. That's the all American dream, is to work for yourself. And it's possible. You can do that. I have been a contractor for over 30 years. I've contracted with the state as a professional development specialist, where I go out and do the assessment for the early childhood teachers, make recommendation, assess them, and test them, and help them to go the non-traditional route of obtaining a child development credential, a CDA. So most people know me as a CDA rep. I used to be the advisor and then the rep and now the professional development specialist. I've been doing that for each state that I've resided in. And I'm going to, and basically as a contracted person, there's training that they give us. They asked us to take a test and we're tested. And we have actually worked with the council in every state. And I've actually worked overseas in Germany with the council. So it gave me a chance to be an actual independent contractor. So I started doing some contracting on my own, where I actually do training and development, professional development for the school district, and working with the teachers who are trying to get their CEUs so that they can meet their requirement. Because every year they must do continuing education by law. And if not, they're in non-compliance. So I help them stay in compliance. And one of the things that my business is going to be doing more of is online training. So I hope to see you soon to be a part of my endeavor. Yes, you can start your own business and you can work towards getting your own personal credit together and then seek out lines of credit, preferably credit cards, instead of borrowing money. Owe no man nothing but to love them. When you start borrowing money, then you have to think about, how am I going to pay it back? And thank you so much for listening to part 2 of this segment. This is family and consumer science. I have been talking from this perspective for quite a while about, I was in the school at Purdue University of Family and Consumer Science. So we've been taught to look at economics and the family. The family is one person that we hold up high in esteem. And I want the family to be able to view this tape and benefit from it. I look forward to seeing you soon. Please do give me those 2 thumbs up. Give me those 2 thumbs up. Give me those 2 thumbs up. Give me those two 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 thumbs up anytime you want to. Go down below and subscribe to Omi's Production Studio and tell somebody about Family and Consumer Science. We haven't been on for a while, but we're back now. Baby, we're back. And tell them that they can be a subscriber too. Bring a friend along next time. I'll be on again tomorrow around about this time. So bring your friends along, and we'll be talking about special education law tomorrow. So you can figure out if you want to get in the business of becoming an advocate, because I'm going to be laying it out for you how to become an advocate. Thank you so much. And subscribe and give me those two thumbs up. 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 I'll see you later. Oh, double. And Baba Booey to y'all. Take care.